Fun fact about the soundboard: we have the same soundboard. And I
Do you really?
Yeah, we that was one of the first ones we used to use for when we started the podcast at Greg's old place. And I pulled it out. It had been in a storage closet that had direct sunlight on it. I pulled it out to do Tim's roast. And the sides, the rubber on the sides had started to break down, so they were just constantly sticky.
See, the problem with the rubber on ours, I guess we're started. Hey, we're at RTX and we have Nick Scarpino from Kind of Funny with us.
Hi.
The funny thing about the rubber on ours is now it's just getting dirty, and like I feel like I'm cleaning it constantly.
I don't mind that, but I literally took ours out and I was like, oh, it's sticky because something must have melted on it or whatever. And then I kept rubbing it down, and the paper towel just kept sticking to it. I'm like, no, it's the rubber. The rubber has broken down now. It's probably toxic and killing us all.
We've had this guy for 4 years, and it's like one of the best. It's the best investment.
Yeah.
Nick, so you guys are doing your. There's a ton of things to talk about with you, but we have a limited amount of time. But you guys are doing your Kind of Funny comedy thing tonight.
Yes, we are doing the comedy showcase tonight. It's the second one we've done here at RTX. We're very, very excited. I've got 17 either veteran or first-time comedians that are going to be performing tonight at the venue or at the North Door. It's sold out, so if you guys are going to post this today and people wanted to come to it,
it's too late.
I'm sure it was great.
It was great, yeah.
Yeah, for real, we couldn't even get tickets for it.
So we've talked to our Rooster Teeth. We did it last year as sort of a test, and then this year we kind of were like, they're like, you want to do it again? It's like, sure. We just kind of rinse it and repeat it, and it sold out so fast that I think next year we're going to try to look for a slightly bigger venue. Although I would be remiss if I didn't mention that I like keeping the comedy shows smaller. I think that comedy is like stand-up specifically is so much better when you can actually see the audience and have a little bit more of a connection with them. So to book like a big venue, I'm not against it, but I'm also like, I kind of like that it's only going to be 200 people tonight. And it's going to be drunken chaos and fun. And
it's that classic just comedy show. You're not doing a big like Netflix special of
that always overwhelms me when I watch the bigger comics. Like, I'm a huge fan of obviously comedy, and since I started getting into it, I'm more so now than I've ever been. And you see these guys, thank you. You see these guys work their acts through the smaller clubs, and then they work up to like bigger venues, and then they start touring the big act, their special in theaters before they go up to record it. And it's just like, dude, that's like 3,000 or 4,000 people. The energy of that versus 50 to 100 people or 200 people in a small club is totally different. And I get it. Like we've walked out on stage to 3,000 people before. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But it's just weird to hear if a joke hits, you hear waves of laughter come at you, and it's different timing. Like if I'm performing someplace like the Punchline, everyone laughs together. It's a very cool communal experience. But even going to a venue like Cobb's, which is also in San Francisco, it's like 450 people, totally different experience, cavernous, and you'll hear the laughter come from front first, and then you'll hear it come in a wave from the back row. It's kind of weird. So
yeah. Well, that was one of the crazy things too about watching the RT doc, waiting for the Punchline.
Yep,
just seeing the process, kind of trying these same jokes at different venues to see what sticks and what doesn't.
Yeah.
It was just something I had never even considered that people do.
And that was the goal of the doc, right? My when I first started doing it, it was more of I didn't want to live my life never having tried it. There's a lot of things that I go, I want to have at least tried that, dip my toe in once, and seen if that works. This thing's going down. I go, there you go. I was like, am I scrunching down or is the mic? And when I started doing it, I really started appreciating the scene and how much people work really hard to even just book showcases.
It's going.
I'm
so sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm gonna counterbalance it with my weight on this side.
I think that's what Greg was doing. I thought he was just relaxing at first, but no.
That's good.
We're
professionals
the best
here.
mic stands.
Yeah.
Rinky Dink Podcast.
The board is the fanciest thing we got.
It's always these mic stands, the ones that are for like when you're playing an instrument.
Mm-hmm.
They're always the ones that burn out fast.
Yeah.
But no, that was the goal of the documentary, was to really, like, I started kind of falling in love with the scene and the people that are in it and seeing how hard they worked, and I just really started respecting the hell out of comics that were like living in their cars to try to make that dream of being able to get up on stage and entertain people a reality. And I wanted to show, I had never seen a documentary about that process, about the process of going from your first time at an open mic to potentially being a paid regular at a historic club like the Punchline.
Yeah.
I just think that a lot of people look at Netflix and go, oh, there's 50 Netflix specials, must be easy.
Yeah.
And you don't see that a lot of those comics have been working for 10 to 15 years to build up the reputation, the audience, and the clout in the industry to get an hour-long special on Netflix or Showtime or HBO or Comedy Central. And that takes, even the pros these days, it still takes them 3 years to write that hour. Mm-hmm. So most people will go, they'll write an hour, and a lot of people don't realize this, but once you've put out a special, you can't then go back to the clubs the next week and keep doing that material. People will have already heard it. Yeah. And it's not like you're at an Eagles concert where people just go, play Hotel California again. It's like you don't want to
say the same joke.
Yeah, there's like jokes tend to not be as funny the third or fourth time around. There's only a few comics in the history of stand-up that could actually do an act that people want to say along with them. So yeah, I mean, it takes a lot, and it's a very crazy, hard process that even when you're at the height of it, even if you're at, like Joe Rogan, you're still bombing. You're still out there trying to work through new material, and it's still heartbreaking and harder. Although for him, I think, he's got a nice little cushion of millions of dollars and a cool Porsche. So.
He's got a little fallback.
But even that guy has to get out there and grind. But he has to unfortunately get out there and grind in front of people that know who he is and pay to see him.
Yeah.
So that's, at least I have the luxury of, if I'm trying new material, people are like, who's this guy? It doesn't matter, and they'll forget about me.
Right.
I can hide in the anonymity of the other 500 white bearded comics that have my haircut in San Francisco.
Or you totally bomb, and it's like, well, I guess I'm never coming back to this comedy club ever again.
Oh, no, that's the raw. You just come back because guess what? The audience is gonna be different. The club's the same, but the audience is a different night, different feeling, different vibe. And it's that's one of the fun things too. Is I still go to the SF Showcase every Sunday that was featured in the documentary, and I went 2 Sundays ago. Audience was on fire. They were laughing at everything. Everyone was drunk. It was great. Last Sunday, half an audience, subdued. The best word I can use to describe them. They were just like, oh, light claps, light chuckles. It was an uphill battle the entire time. And so, but that's what you're gonna face, and that's part of the fun of it. Is I had a friend of mine that had gone up for a second time, and he had the best set of the night, and it was so fun, and the energy was so electrifying because you were like, oh, he's gonna bomb. Everyone's bombing before him, and he went up and he had a great. I mean, I think he popped a couple Adderalls beforehand because he went deep and hard and fast, and it was good. It's exciting. It's the excitement of live performance.
I was listening to the conversation you guys were having with is this adulting guys, and one of the things that Greg brought up is that, like, as with Kind of Funny and sort of how you're known in the Rooster Teeth community as well, he brought up that you could jump 3 steps forward, but you've been really hammering on doing it the right way. How has that been for you? And I think as a listener and a viewer of your content, I think it seems like you've been learning a lot from it. So it's
definitely valuable. Honestly, when I first started, I didn't want to invite the audience to come see me because I knew I was going to be terrible. And now I've sort of gotten over the fact that I'm terrible, and just I think it's important, or at least there's value for a lot of people out there that are following along the process just to check back in and see it. So I've been a little bit more cavalier about promoting the shows that I'm doing, especially since a lot of them are at smaller venues, and I feel like there's a value of trying to bring some people out and support those venues because everything in San Francisco that is a mom and pop run shop is closing, including the Punchline. So I've sort of turned a corner and said I need to start really kind of pushing as far as I can with my audience and people that follow me to help support these places. Or guess what? They're just not going to be there anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything's going to be a Mac store and a Starbucks. And although I love those two particular establishments, last time I tried doing stand up or shooting in a Starbucks, they did not like that very well. So
Mac store just kicked you out.
No, yeah. But they still charged me $4,000. So
so one of the KFAF started this year.
It did.
And I got to be
honest, revelation.
I got to be honest, like with the amount of content just on the internet in general, I didn't have a chance to check it out until this week.
Yeah.
And I watched your most recent episode.
Oh, good. We roasted Tim.
Where he roasted Tim,
yeah.
Which I can't wait for Tuesday.
Oh,
if
yeah, Tuesdays.
If it's still coming out,
I exported
Tuesday.
It. Hopefully it worked out. I left my computer exporting when I got on the plane, so hopefully it didn't start a fire.
That's always a risky move right there.
I think it's fine. It's only an hour and 8 minutes, and I think it's going to be okay. But yeah, KFAF has been so fun. Everything we've done since the beginning of the year has been fun for us, and that's one of the cool things about Kind of Funny is it's not a giant mega conglomerate like Rooster Teeth with all these just faceless hacks out there trying to print money. It is just really the 7 of us sitting in a room going, Tim's favorite phrase is, what if we just blew all this up? What would it look like if we just blew all this? And one of the things that I always wanted to do was just have a little bit of a place where we could do goofy shit and have it make sense. because I think when you look at everything we do specifically on the Prime channel, I think the games channel is a little bit more focused because it's very game focused. But on the Prime channel, you have like 1 second it might be an Oreo review, and the next second it might be a Marvel review, and it's so difficult to rationalize throwing humor into that mix that I wanted to do something that just had 1 day a week. You're gonna get silliness from me and Andy and the team, and we're gonna make fun of Greg, and then when Greg comes on, it's gonna get more views than the other ones, and I'm not gonna recognize that. That will be a bastard episode that is not a part of the canon of KFAF.
I fell down a deep rabbit hole of those Oreo reviews too, like because they go back for a while.
We've done a lot of them.
It's one of the first things that they were doing on the channel. Like, wasn't Oreo in review like even before you?
Oreo-ration was the
Oreo-ration,
second show I think we did, right? Yeah, second show. The first was Conversation with Colin, and that was the one where it was just Colin and Greg talking about ants.
Yeah,
and I was like, that was a gut check moment for me. Because Greg was like, "Hey man, you're my producer of this amazing show we do at IGN called Up at Noon, and like you made everything look cool, and I don't give you enough credit for it. But like, why don't you come over to my house on Saturday, bring all this gear by yourself, and we're gonna shoot this show with me and my roommate. And then after that, he's like, why don't we shoot this show where I'm eating Oreos? I'm like, what the fuck? What am I doing with my Saturday?
Like, this is your free time too. You were working a full-time job on top of that.
I was working a full time, but honestly, it's like. But the thing about Greg that I appreciate, and I don't give him enough credit because I give him a lot of shit, is that he has these fun ideas, and for him there's no mental block. For me, I'll tell you 50 reasons why we shouldn't do any of this stuff. For Greg, he just needs one reason to do it, and generally that reason is because it made him laugh.
Yeah,
like I got a great idea. I'm gonna wear nothing but swim trunks the entire time, and we laughed at it. Yeah, and everyone's like, you're gonna burn. We're in Austin. We're on the temperature of the sun. You have very fair Irish skin or whatever. But he'll just go, and so I've learned with him and with Tim just like, hey, if they've got a fun idea, let's go do it. And that was the genesis of the channel. Was just like we came back from VidCon. He was like, let's shoot more stuff, and I'm like, yeah, we should. Why the hell not? We've got the talent, the knowledge. We can borrow the equipment from IGN. Maybe they know, maybe they didn't. Doesn't matter. Statute of limitations.
This is going on the internet. We're not big,
statute of limitations. Fair. You can't come get us. It's 5 years, I think, or 7, whatever. It's California state law. But no, but it's honestly one of those things where I had been so focused on making money and trying to climb a corporate ladder and trying to achieve some level of status that was just in my head that I forgot that if you think about doing things for money, you're going to be unhappy. Yeah. If you just go out there and have fun and you go, I want to do a podcast and I'm going to go to RTX and just interview some people that I've known, it's fun, and eventually the money will come, the success will come. But lead with your passion first, and you never know. 5 years from now, you might be running a company over a comic shop with your friends and not working a day in your life.
Which just sounds like a dream. Like
it does, honestly.
I go there every day. I mean, when we used to go to Greg's house, it was a dream. I was like, when I quit IGN, I remember the first day I drove over to their house, I was like, this is so weird. I went to Starbucks, the same Starbucks that I used to go to before I went to IGN, and then I went in the other direction, and I parked on the street, and I just went out to my buddy's place and sat at his kitchen table, and we started building a company together. And it was like, and then like a few years later, we just did the same thing, but above a comic book shop, and now we get to give all the comic book shop all the free swag that we don't want, and they sell it. And I think we're literally keeping the comic book shop in business, which is great.
How I was wondering this the other day when you guys brought it up randomly again on the podcast, but you have to imagine you're driving a bunch of traffic over there, right?
I would hope so. Those guys are great, and honestly, I don't know if you guys are comic book fans or not.
Oh, yeah.
I don't read a lot of comics, but I love being in the space.
Yeah.
Like one of the things that makes me sad, and I understand it has to happen, but one of the things that's sad to me is that bookstores and comic book shops are going out of business because everything's going digital, and it's going to be so hard to tell our kids like what that smell of a comic book shop was like, what the feeling of going into that, like, and the books like insulated everything, so it's always a little colder in the comic book shop, and it has that smell, and you have someone there that's just like trying to act cool but really wants to tell you about the latest issue, whatever he's reading. Yeah, it's fun, but
people in the back playing Magic, and it's like,
I mean, we have a comic book shop and a barber shop right below us, and we're wetting our toes with the barber shop right now. He's not very responsible, but I would get my hair cut there too. It'd be great.
I guess it's. I did want to ask you. Sure. One of the things I had about KFAF that I thought was cool whenever it was announced was that it was you and Andy working together. And how is that? I mean, Andy's obviously awesome, but how has that been?
It's been great. Just having the opportunity to build a rapport with someone on a weekly basis for comedy is very important. Yeah. And chemistry is everything when it comes to making shows, Like I think I have really good chemistry with everyone together and separately, but it's different. With me and Tim, it's more of I'm ridiculous and he's the one shaking his head at me. With Andy, we're just two knuckleheads against the world. And Greg's obviously just a force of nature. So it's just been cool. And it's also great to just kind of sit with one person every week and go, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What's it going to be this week? And everyone contributes to the show as well. I feel like I take credit because it's the best show on the internet and on our channel. But everyone does help us out because we have Slack channels and things like that where people go, here's a funny idea that I saw. You guys should totally take this and turn it on its head. So everyone contributes a little bit. But we drive everyone crazy in the office with the stupid shit we do. And it's fun.
I mean, that's the great thing about Kind of Funny is that you guys can do a bunch of different things. It's not too many times where you can make funny internet videos and video game reviews and start up a football team, in the FCFL and crazy things like that.
I used to be conflicted on that because I think there's a part of us. It's not without its challenges running this business. And one of them is that we have a very small but dedicated audience, and that's awesome. But you look at other people that are maybe a little bit more focused, that maybe don't spread the audience so thinly with all the crazy stuff they do, and I think they grow a little faster. So there's always a little bit of trade-off with everything. Yes, we can do whatever we want, but I think that there's people that, like, if you're just doing makeup tutorials, you're going to probably grow a little bit faster because people are just coming to you for that specific level of expertise. Whereas we have a lot of expertise spread around, and I think if you come for a Marvel video and then the next referred video is as an Oreo oration, you'd be like, huh?
Yeah.
Like, that's weird. Why am I getting this? Right? Or a love and sex stuff episode where we tell you about how to broach the topic of, like, wanting to get pegged by your girlfriend. It's like, okay, but we were talking about Spider-Man 5 minutes ago. So
these are natural progressions.
I mean, the thing is, the one thing that when you look at the channels, when you look at youtube.com/kindoffunny, go subscribe right now. When you look at that channel, you see a breadth of everything that our people are into. Right, you see Marvel movies, you see comedy, you see podcasting about your real life, you see us talking about anxiety, you see all the levels of what it basically takes to be, a nerd in today's life, and that's all right there for you. I mean, I joke about the Oreo videos, but we eat a lot of Oreos, and that's a part of our culture, and so I think it is a nice big, just giant picture of what we're all into, which is great. But it's slow going from the audience generation side. Mm-hmm. But the audience that we do have, I think, they're amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got to end it there. You guys got a panel to go to. A water boy to sign on to your football team.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Look at him over there. Greg, by the way, if you guys, this is an audio only podcast. Greg is wearing Natural Light beer shorts. He's got a dinosaur fanny pack. He's wearing our Pride shirt, and he's wearing our Movement sunglasses, which I believe were sponsored, and a Ghostbuster lanyard, a Ghostbuster corpse lanyard,
and
which is even nerdier.
He's the most comfortable person I've seen in the building today. Like, I saw him yesterday, and I was like, man, should I wear swim shorts to
I will say this, though.
RTX?
This is the big question of the day, and maybe we'll just leave it on that, because you always want to leave him wanting more.
Uh-huh.
Are those the same shorts he wore yesterday, and did he wash them in between? Because you're not wearing underwear with those, are you? Liar. Show us the baby makeup. Oh, you are. You said it was a bitch.
Oh, I was gonna say, we know the answer to that.
Oh, yeah, we do now.
All right, guys. Well, keep listening. I'm sure we have other stuff happening. If not, then
for sure.
An episode will come out soon. Bye.
Yeah.